before we start off, can you guys give an introduction to yourselves and a brief description of your band and your music?
So I'm Ben. I'm the lead singer of the indie pop alternative pop band Open Arms.
And I'm Tom. I'm the bass player from the band.
So we've heard some of your music. Can you guys tell us any artists or genres or just anything that kind of you feel comes across artistically in your music?
As in what it sounds like?
Just kind of any influences you guys may have.
Yeah, okay. I suppose it's odd really because our influences versus what the stuff sounds like are probably polar opposite. With a lot of our influences, we draw from everything from sort of Jeff Buckley and kind of Michael Jackson and that kind of stuff, Prince, but then we also quite into classic rock, like the whole spectrum. We like R&B and rap and that kind of stuff, but there's only kind of glimpses of that you will actually hear in the music itself. I would say the band probably sounds the most like this band called Walk the Moon. I think there's a lot of influence from them. There's a guy called Will Joseph Cook. We like him a lot. We use some of his references. Peace and probably the 1975.
So speaking of your music, you've recently released a new single called Hello. Can you tell us a bit about the inspirations that brought you to write this, the meaning behind it, and the process you guys came to write it?
Yeah, sure. Tom, do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, that's a question for you, Ben.
Hello was one of the songs where it just it was written in probably an hour, which is sort of, it's not unusual for us, but sometimes when we write songs, it'll either take 6 months or it'll kind of be done in a day. And it was just something that happened totally organically. What it's about, we'd had quite a break from releasing music since we put out our first EP, and we were really apprehensive about putting new music out. And I reckon we've probably, for the next EP that we're looking to release, we've probably written about 3 albums worth of material, which is probably a bit overkill, but we came up with this song and we played it live a bit. We don't normally tend to play new songs live until we release them, but we played it live and it seemed to go down really, really well. We started opening our sets with it for obvious reasons. And then we just kind of made the decision that it needed to go on the EP, and if it was going to go on it, it had to be the first single out of this second EP. But it's mainly what the song is about. It's kind of me self-analysing myself, so my personality traits and things like that, and different conversations that I'd had with that song. I think there's a few different meanings, particularly the chorus. Like, you can develop quite a few different meanings out of the lyrics, so yeah, I don't want to give too much away. It's nice when people develop their own sort of meaning for songs,
So obviously it's a lot different releasing new music at a time like this where you can't actually do any physical promotion or any gigs to back up the release. Can you guys tell us any pros and cons you've come across when releasing new music out of lockdown?
So when we release new music, usually, we like to come up with a good PR campaign. So within our band, our aesthetic is a big part of what we do. Me and Ben take the aesthetic duties really, and we sort of make a campaign ourselves. And then Drew and Sam are more into the admin side, and Sam's particularly in the music side. So, but we all sort of work together along with some of our close friends that help us within the band, and that's how we put out a release. But yeah, it has been difficult during these times because, like you say, we haven't been able to go out and publicise our music like we would normally be able to. We've had to come up with different methods of doing it instead.
Yeah, I think that the most sort of challenging aspect of it is obviously we can't shoot any music videos, we can't do any new photos or anything like that, so we're having to try and get a bit creative and try and think of other ways that we can get around the obstacles that are there at the moment, because I suppose everyone's in the same boat, so it's not just us going through it, and we're conscious of that. We've got the whole it's safety first and everything else. We can't really risk each other, but as I say, there's things like doing music videos separately and trying to piece them together and things like that we thought of doing, but it's definitely a challenge, just because none of us, I don't think anybody has anticipated what was going to happen. And we kind of, when it first started going down, we had a few conversations and we kind of had like a worst case scenario and a few different ideas, but it's been as much as a surprise to us as it has to everyone else. So
moving on, we know that you guys have been quite present in the Birmingham music scene for a while. What are some of your favourite experiences and just like memories from throughout the scene and meeting people have been for you guys?
Okay, so I really like. It's difficult to pick them. Really, I've got to pick the ones that we can actually tell you about as well. I remember the first time we played Sunflower Lounge. That was a great gig. That was kind of our first big gig. It was our first gig with the guitarist, because like nobody had seen us properly in like a proper venue before. All of our family and friends came, and the place was just rammed. I mean, it's only like 120 cap venue, I think, but it was just full to the brim of people there, and it was just a great evening. I really enjoyed that. And probably one of the other highlights was we did a Battle of the Bands competition back in 2017 that we actually won, and we got to play the main room. I think it was it the Institute, Tom? I think it was the Institute in Birmingham.
Yeah, is that last year? Yeah, it was the Institute 3, I think, that we played, yeah. So.
No, Battle of the Bands, this was 2017. I think it was one of the bigger rooms in the Institute, but that was a great night. That was really busy. Yeah. There's a few different people from Kerrang Radio judging and other places like that. So I think the drummer from the Twang was there or something like that, and he was.
That was right. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a good night. I'm trying to, Tom, is there anything that we can say without giving too much? I'm just trying to think, because more recently we've been going further afield when we've been playing gigs, so we haven't been playing as frequently in Birmingham.
Because one of our things at the moment for the past year or so is we're trying to branch out around the UK and just try and play as far and wide as we can, really. So we played in Manchester at Jimmy's, which is quite a well-known bar. So we played there, and we've played in Sheffield. We've played, just generally a number of different places like outside of Birmingham, just because we want to try and expand our audience, really. But in Birmingham, we've played all of the main O2 venues. We played the Sunflower Lounge.
They all tend to blend into one a bit, don't they?
So, do you guys have any advice for anybody who wants to try and break into the Birmingham music scene?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, we're still trying to do it ourselves, really. I mean, we've still got a long way to go before we're going to be happy with, where we are. And we've done, we haven't got any management. We're completely independent, so we've got no management and no label. And I think a lot of what we've been able to achieve has been a result of that. There hasn't been too many people involved kind of pushing us in one direction or saying, don't do this, do this. I mean, fair enough, it's great to get advice, but I think it's stuff that you need to figure out, yourself. Just rehearsing as much as possible, get as many rehearsals in as possible. Be careful about the kind of shows that you're doing. Make sure that they're profitable for you, or at least you get something out of it. If it's not money, it's decent exposure.
Definitely. I would agree, yeah. Especially especially promoters and stuff like that. But just generally, if you've got if you've got the dream of doing music, there's nothing stopping you from picking up a guitar or an instrument and just giving it a go, I mean, especially for me, because I learned guitar from YouTube and stuff like that, so it's very it's set up that way in our generation. You can learn anything off the internet, really. So it's, if you've got a dream, just go for it, really. That's all I can say,
Yeah, so we've always known for the last we've been in this about 4 or 5 years now in various ways, but the most important thing, we always had an understanding straight off the bat that this is everything to us, and the rest of our lives revolve around it. So all of our social circles, our work, really, the work that we do outside of the band to kind of keep ourselves going, it all kind of revolves around what we're doing with the band, So I think definitely if you want to do it, making it is quite a subjective term, isn't it? I suppose it's more sort of, it's easier to look at if it's particularly live, but obviously, you could play a really small venue and have 50 people show up and it'll be the best gig of your life. And then you could play a huge venue, but, and it's rammed, but you just may not enjoy it as much. So it is all subjective, really. You've got to kind of figure that out for yourself.
I do agree with that as well, because when you get to certain stages, to get our music played on BBC Introducing the first time was, it was a massive milestone for us, really. But now we've done that a few times, you have to, as you sort of get up you know, you have to set new goals for yourself, really, new things to achieve. So,
what is it like being like a band without management? Because I can imagine like there are some like positive sides to it, but I can imagine there are some huge struggles when it does come to like promoting yourself in a sense sometimes. So what's that like?
In a word, stressful. It's really stressful. But there's certain attributes that I always wanted to kind of set out with this band and make sure that we conform to certain things for ourselves. And that was to kind of make sure that we're creating music that we want to make. And it definitely needs to be commercial, because we're obviously aware that's what's going to make it. You know, you're going to get in the charts with that kind of stuff. But to have as much freedom as we could possible was much more important than just giving that responsibility to someone else. Because, again, if you can learn the way things operate, realistically, when you come to get a sign-in or you come to start using management, you don't want to go in there blind anyway. So it's always good to know how things work. If you're talking beginner level, you want to know how managers work and what they do for you and what they can do for you and what they won't do for you. And so, to be honest, once you've done ample amount of research into that and you understand what it is that you're trying to do for your own band, then it's only really a short step to doing that for yourself. And it is very stressful because you have no representation. So you have to rely on trying to get reviews and trying to get radio plays and things like that, and interviews like this. You know, nobody's got those connections for us, really. We have had a few different people along the way that have really helped and given us some amazing opportunities, but it's difficult, don't get me wrong. It's really hard, but it's very rewarding. I think that we'll know where we are if we do manage to get management or a signing. When that happens, we'll know what we've already been through. We'll know the way that we've done things to a certain degree. And I think hopefully if and when that does happen, then whoever sees us, you know, takes us on, will be able to see that actually, you know, we've given all of that hard work into trying to manage the band and work it out ourselves before we went any further, you know.
So we did this. Wait, do you want to do it?
I'll do the next one. So moving on, we've got, what should we expect from you guys after lockdown? Is there anything in particular we should keep an eye or an ear out?
I don't know. I don't know, because it see, when we're putting music out and stuff at the moment, because there's very little promotion we can do, we're kind of just a couple of weeks beforehand, we're just kind of going, oh, let's put some music out. We spent so long over the last 18 months just writing and recording music. We have so much music backlogged that you know, I dare say we'll be putting some of that out. But as soon as this is all over, we're just gonna, I think we might throw a party. That'd be good. You know, invite as many people as we can. Because, like, one of my worries when all of this is over is, like, how easy is it going to be for us to get a gig? Like, everybody's going to be in the same boat. We have been approached by a few people already, but, you know, I've got a funny feeling that it's going to be difficult to try and book live gigs. Don't forget, every major artist in the world's going to want to be jumping on that bandwagon as well to compete with. So, yeah, I think we'll do it ourselves. Put some music out, have a party, good vibes.
Like as well, with the whole issue of all the grassroots music venues being at threat of being closed down at the moment, that is going to be such a major struggle when we come out of lockdown.
I really, really hope they can survive it, because they are the last sort of, if there weren't any grassroots music venues, then we wouldn't be where we are right now, because we wouldn't have been able to afford to put the shows on or hire places out, or, you know, the promoters that work with them, we wouldn't have been able to do the promotion that they could do for us. So, and I know loads of other people that we've met through doing that, our friends who are also in music. It's such a vital part of the scene in Birmingham at the moment. And I'm kind of sad to say, I've said in interviews before that I don't think the Birmingham's music scene is as big as it is other places. Like, you can go to Liverpool or Manchester and the walk-up audiences there are way bigger than they are in Birmingham. So we're already at a bit of a disadvantage. And I would
agree. Like, we have some great bands from Birmingham, you know, like Duran Duran, and, you know, but that's a time gone now. And, like, in the current scene, we don't really have, like, big bands that come out of our town, you know, really. You know, a lot of the music press is directed at Manchester and London and, you know, the capital cities, really.
Which is ironic, because we're supposed to be the second biggest after London.
Yeah, well, it is really. It is. But for some reason, I don't know, just the music press always likes bands to come out of Manchester and London and, you know, the more recognisable cities, and not Birmingham for some reason.
But you guys must have witnessed that too in some way, shape or form, surely, because as I say, us doing it for 4 years, we can, and comparing it to other places, we can definitely see it. And it's a shame, really, because there's so much good talent in Birmingham. There just doesn't seem to be, as for whatever reason, as many opportunities going or whatever. You know, people tell the story of managers lurking in the back of bars and stuff. I just don't think that happens as much. And it's a shame, because there's people doing bits in Birmingham. There's some really, really good bands and solo musicians and DJs and things like that. So it was already hard to operate in the music scene before all of this happened. So as I say, I just really hope that it'll recover and we're not going to see it stripped back even less, because it will be such a shame.
I feel like, with quarantine, you know, on top of just the way the music industry operates nowadays, it has changed massively, you know, just the way bands get signed and stuff, because people used to take a chance and come to gigs, you know, and actually experience the live music. And now, like, they'll look up your Instagram profile, see how many followers you've got, and if it doesn't meet what they, you know, feel is necessary, then they might not even bother coming to your gig. So it really is, it's completely, the dynamic has changed massively.
It's a lot harder to be able to convince people to come and see live music. And don't forget, like, this is why it's important, as I was saying earlier, to make sure that when you're starting out, you're picking the right shows and picking the right places to play, because we did quite a few shows to begin with and we thought it was brilliant and stuff, but the tickets are like 15 quid and we'd be getting £1 a ticket, and then you wonder where everything else goes, and you're playing for like 25 minutes and there's 7 other bands on the bill. So it's harder than ever to convince people to come. You know, they've got to spend their hard-earned money, which we all know is going to be in a weird situation when we come out of this. But however, there are ways that you can get the band in front of people. And we've worked at doing live music so much now that we can kind of, I don't want to say guarantee a good time, because that sounds a bit big-headed, but like, we've got a decent success rate. We can kind of make sure that there's enough in the live sets for everybody based off the feedback that we get. I mean, we can play to crowds of uni kids, or we can play to crowds of, you know, older adults. Our oldest fans, I think he's just turned 70 and he's a legend. He's proper into his music, but it spans everything, which is what we wanted. That's another thing we wanted to do, is we didn't just want it to be, you know, you've got to be a bit careful that your identity doesn't splay out and you don't know who you are, but by the same score, if you can try and be as relatable and as accessible to as many people as possible. That's why on like the first EP we had like a house track, and then we had an instrumental track, and we had an alternative pop track and more of an indie pop track, and then I suppose the last track was like straight up alt rock track. But it's to try and keep the accessibility there for different types of people. Because, you know, it's hard enough as it is trying to get people to come to the shows and to support you. When they do, it's amazing. You know, we don't take that for granted. We're lucky to have quite a few followers now, and they're growing across the UK. So that's an amazing feeling. But it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah, I guess that's why we're here in a sense as well, to kind of highlight our local music scene and show that there is something here, and that people do need to notice that the Birmingham music scene of all genres, not just like the indie alternative genre, but everything is really good.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, just to finish on that point, it would be good. What's a shame is I don't know how things operate in different cities, but I think it's going to end up being the younger generation of people that start to try and push the Birmingham music scene. I think it's going to fall to people doing university courses in music management and that kind of thing, to put on big festivals to showcase talent and do that. And we're lucky that we've just about managed to break through the surface of it and do. But it's harder, much harder for other bands starting out. So it's one of them. But I don't know whether it should be the case or not, but I think it's going to be, rather than, you know, local council and things like that organising things to be put on, I think it's going to fall to the young kids. And they're going to go, okay, well, nobody else is going to do it for us, so we're going to have to do it and bite the bullet.
So it's like the last, because we probably need to draw this to a bit of a close soon, because we have a limited amount of time. We've got a segment that we like to do called quick fire questions, which basically we ask short little questions and you guys just need to give us like the answer that comes like the first thing that comes into your head, basically.
Okay, I like it.
So we've got this Spotify playlist called Soapy Bops, which is on Spotify. It's songs that people like to sing to in the shower. So do you guys have any songs that like you go to sing in the shower?
Yeah, Redbone by Childish Gambino.
I'd say either something heavy or funky. So like it's either got to be some old school nu metal stuff like Linkin Park, something ridiculous like that, or something really like upbeat, funky, something like Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel, something like that.
Yes, bang it.
Who would your dream collaboration be?
Ooh.
Do they have to be alive?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive. Gotta be Michael Jackson. But alive, if he's alive long enough, Paul McCartney.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, Paul McCartney.
I would say like Fleetwood Mac, or I would say yeah, definitely. I mean, there's too many good bands, really. Queen.
Yeah.
I know Freddie's gone now, but yeah, that would have been a dream, really. So
what is you guys' favourite venue, either that you want to play in or you have played in?
That's a really good question. Favourite venue that I have played in? Tom, what's the favourite venue that I've played in? It tends to be festivals that really impress us. So
yeah, especially the festival stages are just the best, really.
Yeah, we played a festival called the Bearwood Street Festival in Birmingham, just trying to rep the Birmingham scene a bit. And there was a great turnout for that, really, really good. They closed off the streets of Bearwood and had this massive stage up. That was incredible. Stage that I want to play, quite like to headline Reading and Leeds.
Yeah, Glastonbury, why not?
Well, Glastonbury, then. I didn't want to be the cliche. Everybody goes, "Oh, I want to play Glastonbury," but no.
Yeah, Glastonbury's like the best, you know.
What first got you guys into music?
My dad. My dad is a really good guitar player, and he used to play music all the time. We'd go out in the car. He'd have like ZZ Top on, Guns N' Roses and Thin Lizzy and bands like that. Yeah, I think I wanted to play drums first, so I had a little toy drum kit, and then tried to play guitar. Wasn't very good at it, and then learned properly afterwards, and piano. So yeah, my dad got me into music, definitely.
I'd say like comparatively, I'm the newcomer out of the band, really. You know, I mean, I only started playing guitar when I was like 17, so. You know, compared to everyone else in the band, I'm sort of a bit late to it, really. But
you're just in it for the money, Tom.
I am.
He just wants that dollar. He just wants that dollar. That's all he wants.
You give me it, I'll learn it. I'll play it.
That's it. Yeah. Show me the money, I'll play that. I'll do it.
So before we head off, do you guys have any like final promotions for anything that you guys have got going on, or any messages and social media for your audience?
Yeah, firstly, I hope you're all safe and well, and you're following the government guidance. Thank you so much for the support that we've had so far for our new single, Hello. That's really, really nice. It is the first single off our next EP called Russian Cars and Symphonies. And if you haven't heard the first one, it's called Sunflowers, and it's out on Spotify and iTunes and all of those other good places.
Yeah, you can be expecting another track in about a month's time. The second single.
We've got another single coming out in about a month. We may do one of those lockdown quarantine music videos as well at some point. But really just to say thank you so much for sticking with us. We've been gone in releasing music for a while, but we're back now. And we can't wait to get back to playing shows and seeing people in person.
It's nice to